Hey everyone, pleasant morning to you. This is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago. And I always start off my show with gratitude, being thankful. It's a sort of overcast day today, but it's always beautiful to me just to see that. I am very thankful to be able to do that. And I wish for those who are above ground to also be thankful for whatever is happening in their life and for what they can see, what they can experience. Because those who are not able to do so would wish that they even have 5 minutes to be able to do so. So I have with me today Alex. Is it, pronounce your surname for me?
Coble Frakes.
Coble Frakes. Very good. I didn't want to mispronounce it. I was supposed to ask you before. So we're going to just call her Alex, and her Alex is not the traditional Alex. It's Alyx. Isn't that awesome? So she's clearly unique. She was worried about what she was wearing, but look at that beautiful background she has. I mean, it is just super awesome. I need to ask her first about that. So before we do that, I'm going to do a quick bio on her, just a quick introduction, and then we get into the topic. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about getting out of your own way. My goodness, that is what a lot of us need to hear today. Getting out of your own way. Let me do a quick introduction on her and then we get into it. So Alex Coble Frakes is the founder of Fully Aligned Coaching, is a former Peace Corps volunteer, nice, who found peace in her own body after releasing excess unwanted pounds. She is now a national speaker who helps people fully integrate their mind, body, and spirit so they can release extra weight, so they have more energy to spend time with their family and doing the things they love outside of their business. Yeah, she has a total transformation breakthrough session at her website. I'm going to share that when I feature her website a little bit later in the interview. So welcome, Alex, to Between the Lines.
Hello, I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Before we go into it, tell me about that background behind.
So it's a really big wall hanging, and I love it because I love the colors, and I love that it inspires me to be surrounded by pretty things, like pretty colors, just like what you were saying, help me stay grounded into gratitude. So I always try to set up environment in a way that is visually pleasing to me. I'm a very visual person.
So am I. I love it. I love it. It has taken up the entire background. I just feel so good just watching it behind me. I'm seeing different animals. It's like a mosaic. I'm seeing like an elephant there behind you.
Yeah. And then lots of flowers and like swirl, and it feels like it's kind of ocean in a way, and I love the colors of it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. And I tell you match it. The color of your touch. So let's get straight into it. We're talking about, what are we talking about today? Getting out of your own way. Now, you spoke about losing weight as part of your peaceful journey. I guess I would go into that in a little bit. But when I was reading your bio, what came to me is weight is not only physical. It's mental, it's spiritual, it's psychological. So I want persons to not only think of weight when they're listening to this episode, to not only think of the physical. We have to expand our mind when we're talking about things, and don't just fixate on one thing and stay there. Expand your mind, expand your horizons. So when you spoke about your weight, which is a physical weight, I am sure that when you did that, it expanded. It reduced other forms of weight in you, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically. So explain that journey you took and why you felt you needed it. Because I guess you had the weight on all along and you were probably fine. So what it is that made you decide to change?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. So actually, I have really struggled with my weight my whole life. And again, I want to be really clear for the people that think this is not about trying to fit into a certain size or trying to fit into someone's standards. I really think that it's possible to accept yourself fully and also want to be in better health. So I don't see those things as two separate things. And this is not about, again, prescribing one that they should be a certain size or they should look a certain way based on a standard. I want that to be really clear. But for me, there was this struggle my entire life. I had kind of gone up and down. They call it like yo-yo dieting. I had lost 20 pounds, gained 30 pounds, lost 20 pounds, 40 pounds, kind of like goal for many, many years, starting when I was in high school. And when I came, I was a Peace Corps volunteer, so I lived in Peru for 2 years. I lived in South America, and it was amazing. It was a really beautiful experience doing this cool work. I was in countries I've traveled quite a bit. I've really jumped at those opportunities, and I've traveled quite a bit through different jobs, because traveling can be expensive. So finding ways to be creative and also get the exposure to go see different places has been really important to me. So when I came back, a couple of things happened that I wasn't exactly expecting. I had really bad reverse culture shock. So moving back to the United States was really difficult mentally because it's so different than living in Peru. So different, like two different planets. It was so different. So that was kind of happening. My weight I was at the heaviest I'd ever been. Just having some anxiety, depression, some of those type of things. And then we found out that my grandma was diagnosed with cancer. Wow. So that kind of got me thinking about all of these health things, that I was dealing with I don't have cancer, but I was dealing with these health issues, and this kind of made me have a bigger magnifying glass around that. And then I got in a car accident. Whoa. I got in a pretty bad car accident. I flipped my car upside down, landed on the roof. I was strapped in by my seatbelt, so I had to unbuckle myself, hold onto the roof and crawl out the back.
Oh, thank God. Wow.
And I didn't even have a scratch. It was the craziest thing. I didn't have a bruise at all.
Wow, thank God. Oh my God.
It was insane. It was really crazy. And I was talking to somebody, and they were like, wow, Alex, someone's really looking out for you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, he is. Oh, yes, he is.
It gives me chills to think about it, right? It's just you've got more work. You've got something to do.
Oh, yes. You have a purpose. Oh, my God. You have chills running up my spine. You have a purpose. He's not done with you yet, Alex.
Yes. And so in that moment, kind of all of these things you can call it God, you can call it the universe. Things were kept tapping me on the shoulder, right? Pay attention, come back to your health. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the final piece. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be doing something, and I am not doing it now because I'm carrying this mental and physical weight. Yeah. And I was like, it's time to do something different. Wow. So I ended up going on a health journey, and, there's so much pressure in society that says once you're thin, you get happier, right? So that's the physical weight. And so I thought, oh, good, I got this. All I got to do is lose the weight and it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And what I found is when I lost the physical weight, I hadn't done any work with the mental weight. And so it didn't really matter that I had lost 40 pounds. I still felt the physical the mental weight.
Yes.
And so that took me on a journey, a different type of healing journey. Wow. With my mind and the inner work that we are all called to do. Mm-hmm. And it was a completely different one. So I felt better physically, right? My joints didn't hurt. I had more energy, but I still saw myself in the same way. Yeah. I still lacked the confidence. I lacked the fortitude, those type of things, that some of that resistance and that resilience, because I saw myself as the same way, even though I'd shed the physical weight. So it's so important that when people are looking at their health, they're also looking at the inner dialogue, the inner work that has to come up, the self-acceptance, the returning to yourself in order to kind of find that total transformation.
You're making some very good points. And I too am on a journey, and I would encourage everybody to go on a journey to look at their inner self, their inner child, their inner being, which is your true self. Yeah. I'm doing work in terms of your inner self, your true self, and your ego. Your ego doesn't like you. Your ego is what happened with you, as a matter of fact, from what I'm understanding, that the weight, the mental weight, the image that you still maintain in your mind was really your ego telling you, it doesn't matter what you shed any physical weight, you're still big, you're still overweight. It's telling you that. And it was a fight. And that's why you had to take another journey to go within, to tell yourself, to work on yourself. So, you know, people would do all sorts of things, Alex. They would go on training courses. They would do all sorts of things, searching, thinking that these are the things to help relieve them of that cognitive dissonance that's happening, that inner turmoil. And they would do, run, not realizing that when they're running with it. It follows you. It follows you. And you really just need to stop and say to yourself, no, I am not going to be running into this, that, and that. I need to get to work on me, my inner child, my true self. Who am I really? Because no matter where I go, how many things that I do, how much educational qualifications I do, my ego is still going to beat me down to tell me no, to tell me this, to tell me whatever. So even though you lost the physical pounds and you go on the scale and you feel nice about the figure that you see and you can put on different type of clothes, when you look in the mirror, your mind is telling you, no, you could fool yourself as much as you want. It ain't that. And that is where the turmoil takes place in all of us. And we are running from ourselves and allowing the ego to take over. My goodness. Yeah, Alex. So we're talking about peace. You're a Peace Corps volunteer. Why did you enter into that? I mean, of course, it allowed you to travel, which is so awesome. But why are you on a peace journey? And why would you encourage persons to take a peace journey?
So I mean, just like on the superficial level, what I always wanted to do the Peace Corps was to learn about other cultures, to get more exposure to people from different areas, to learn different things. The first time I traveled, I was 15. I went on a trip to Guatemala with my school, and just the way that it cracked me open and showed me things that I've never seen in the United States and showed me different people and different ways of doing things. It was truly life altering. So that was amazing. And then I traveled in college. I went to Europe a couple of times, you know, I sing. So with my choir, and I also did a couple of summer jobs. I worked in Germany for 2 summers and got to travel around. So just on that superficial level, I was like, I've loved all of these experiences. I would love a more submersive experience on a longer term. So the Peace Corps is a 2-year program. And so I was like, that would be really amazing. And being able to live and work with a community is something that's really important to me. I think just being able to see a different perspective, right? People from other places have different perspectives. So I wanted to be able to learn and work side by side on projects with people from different places. So on that level, that was kind of why I got into it. And what I didn't realize is so much of the inner work that really prepped me for being able to come back and do the next part of my transformation. Because I spent a lot of time alone. I had more free time in those 2 years than I had probably had in the first 20 years of my life. You know, in the United States, everything is very scheduled and very busy and very like, you have to like achieve a bunch of things and everyone is so busy all of the time. And I had so much downtime and time to sit quietly with myself.
That's good.
Yeah, and I had never done that before. I'd never taken so much time to sit quietly with myself.
How was that experience for you? A lot of people can't be by themselves, and the silence gets to them.
I couldn't either before I left. I thought it was terrifying.
Really? Why?
Because I think we all have this fear that whatever is going to come up out of the silence will be unlovable.
Why?
I don't know, it's just such a thread I've heard with so many people is we think we're not enough, that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that, you know, we have all of it, again, is the ego of this pushing and this achieving, right?
Yes.
And it's so hard to believe the truth that we were all innately enough just by, it's our birthright.
That's right. You're enough. You're more than enough. Yeah. Why are we programmed? You know, I'm learning about epigenetics and when, you know, the man and the woman comes together to conceive. I mean, just that in itself have created in our DNA who who we are and what our life path is going to be. I mean, it's amazing what I'm learning, you know, that, and what some people do in some cultures is take the time to do a cleansing before they copulate to have a child, because they realize the importance of where they are at that moment, what they're thinking would have a significant impact on the child and the child's life. This is significant, eye-opening. I mean, it has me on a wow journey. I don't know what other words to use. And I mean, you're talking about silence. I've been watching people, listening to people, just sitting in my own space, because I love to be quiet. I love the quiet. I love being alone. I mean, I'm still working on being alone. But the whole thing about you're going to be unlovable, those fears come up. Amazing what the ego is telling you. Amazing what your false self is telling you, that you're unloved. Why? How do we get over that? We're talking about get out of your own way. How do we get out of our own way, Alex?
I think it's really interesting that you bring up epigenetics, and I think it seems, you know, that something just kind of clicked for me. But if we look at the course of human history and the way that there have always been people like kind of at the top controlling everyone else and getting them to do the work for them. And really the only way to kind of, if you think about, like, it's crazy, right? Like 1% of the population controls 90% of the wealth. So to get the rest of everyone to kind of fall in line, it's clear that they would want to spread this message of not enoughness, right? So that the rest of us spend our entire lives proving our worthiness through the hard work for someone else.
Damn it, Alex. Damn it, Alex. How do we change that? We know now. We know they have an agenda. How do we change that?
The thing I think is the most radical thing that anyone can take up, the most radical work anyone can take up in the world is the work of true self-acceptance. Yes. Because when you can accept yourself, you have no reason to fight anybody.
None. There's nothing that they could say, nothing that they can say to bring you down. You're like, really? You wouldn't even respond.
Because the only reason we fight back is if we believe them.
Yeah.
Right? So truly the most radical work any human can take up is the work of true, deep self-acceptance. Because if everyone did that, if everyone took that up on the planet, like wars could fall away.
Yeah.
You know, fighting over resources could fall away. Like all of these things, the system would crumble if every person on the planet took up the work of accepting themselves as they were fully.
Yeah. And know that they are more than enough. They are enough.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? We need to start something. Alex. I hope this recording. No, I'm serious.
Let's do it.
Yeah. This is awesome. And when I listen to you, you started at a young age. I'm thinking, my goodness, your parents have allowed you that freedom, to be able to do the things that you did. I mean, I'm that type of parent where I would allow my kids to travel, go here, go there, because I believe in traveling, and I believe in opening yourself to different cultures and people, instead of just zeroing in on where you are feeling this is it. You know, it allows you to be a better person. More exposure is always better for you. So for your parents to allow you from age 15 to be traveling, going places where they have no idea where you could be at any point in time, if you're eating, drinking, safe, what? You know, I mean, that's some crazy thing right there. But it's great that your parents allowed you to do that. That you have taken a journey now that you're much better. You accept who you are. You know, that self-acceptance journey, and it is a continuous journey, because of course, you know, these different challenges and things come to test you all the time. Damn it. They come to test you on to see if Alex is strong enough, to see if Corinne is strong enough. She's talking about she's strong enough. Really? Let me see how strong she is. You know, and you know, the negative forces come into your life to test you. Oh my goodness. Now you spoke about when you went to Peru and these other places. You're an American citizen. You were brought up for how many years in America? Right.
Yes.
You've gone to Peru for a certain period of time. It's not that you were born there or grew up there. But yet when you come back after spending your time, you're like, what? I'm in shock. What is going on here? Explain that to me. You were not born and bred in Peru, Guatemala, whatever, where you spend a certain period of time, but yet you're in a culture shock. You're like, what is going, I can't, there's same cognitive dissonance. I can't bridge this thing. What's happening?
It's so interesting because it's kind of the same thing that happened when I left, right? Like when you get first, when you like land, I was just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I miss the US, I miss home.
Yes.
Right. And then when I came back, it was the reverse. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I don't fit anywhere. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very different. You know, there are some really great things about the United States, but we're so disconnected, I think, from each other in a lot of ways. And people are kind of in their own space and in their own lives. And we really value independence and pulling yourself up, which it has some value to it. But when like living in Peru is much more collective, people help their families out more, people spend more time with each other. I would sit down and just have hour-long conversations with people without our cell phones involved, and like this level of human connection.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it was so nice.
You're not texting them next to you.
Exactly, you're just having a conversation.
Right? I mean, I watch people communicate and what are they doing? They're texting each other next to each other. What the hell? What is happening? What is happening to conversation, body language, touching, feeling, hugging, wow. Technology, wow. But I'm wondering, I mean, in our discussion about self-acceptance, that journey of self-acceptance and that whole culture shock that happened to you in going to Peru, Guatemala, and in coming back, that same, let's call it a disturbance in your system happened. If we are self-accepting, really and truly self-accepting, do you really think that sort of disturbance would have happened to us in the going and the coming back? I'm trying to find the words, disturbed. Why is our system disturbed if we are self-accepting? In other words, if we are accepting of ourselves, who we are, our true selves, then it doesn't matter where we are. It shouldn't matter. These things not supposed to affect us. What are your thoughts on that?
You're so spot on. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was just still in a different place in my own, journey to this. Because the thing that came up is I don't fit anywhere. Like I don't belong either place.
Ego.
Right. And now to really know, like I belong anywhere. Mm-hmm. I don't have to fit in. No. So when you do feel those dissonances, like you can return to the safe space in yourself. Like if you're feeling like, oh, like maybe I feel uncomfortable here, you can then realize, turn it inward. That gives you an opportunity to say, what need is coming up for me? How can I solve that myself? And then how can I move on? Right. So absolutely. I think you're spot on. I don't think I would experience that today if I did the same process of going away for 2 years and coming back.
Yeah. Turn inward. A lot of us, like we said before, are afraid to turn inward, and we are not getting out of our own way. We are allowing ego to determine what we do and how we do. And I want us to get deeper into that discussion in terms of how do we know the voice? How do we know when it's our inner self talking versus the ego? How do you know? Because persons will be saying, I can't tell the difference. There's so many voices in my head. And the left shoulder, right shoulder thing that you see in cartoons. How do we know? I want people to be able to listen to this and start becoming more aware and conscious of themselves. Then they can tell that voice when is their inner child, that innocent being that needs protection. That's your true self talking versus the ego telling you to do otherwise. How do we know the voices? How can we make the distinction and we follow what makes sense? Because people are tortured by this thing, Alex. They're like, I need to make a decision. What am I going to do? They talk to everybody on the planet. They call up this one. They talk to their priest. They do this. And the last person they talk to is their source or God or whoever they want to call that higher being. That's the last person, when that should be the first. But even in all of that, how do we, if we sit in silence and we quiet our minds, we quiet ourselves, how do we know which is the true self, us, our inner being talking versus the ego?
That's a fantastic question. And I think it's something that takes definitely some practice, something I'm still working on. And I'm reading this great book right now called The Untethered Soul. And it's explained it in a way that I find to be really helpful. So it talks about how our true essence, our true self is the subject and everything else is the object. So it's those other voices. If you can hear it, it's not your true self. Like if you hear the talking, that's not your true self. But it's almost more like when you're in that soul, when you're in that flow, it's a feeling and it's that intuition, right? Like your gut doesn't necessarily talk to you in words, like that deep seat of intuition, but it's that feeling of like, oh, this is right. This is wrong. This is not something I should do, but it's not like a verbal phrase, but it's more of those feelings and listening to that deep inner wisdom. I think it's more, that's how I've experienced it, is that just like those deep feelings that comes from that deep inner well. That's not just the chatter, and that the chatter is, I've almost never found that to be the true self.
So the feeling, that gut instinct, and I've learned recently that gut instinct is really gut instinct. You feel it in your core, in your abdomen, in that center.
Yes.
Talking to you. So it's not just your mind up in your head or where people think the mind is, but you actually have a mind in your gut that is telling you something is wrong. I can't remember the term that they use for the mind and the gut, but basically we all connect with it by the phrase gut instinct. So you have two minds, the mind above and the mind in your gut that is telling you something is off. It's a feeling, it's wrenching, it's really your inner being crying out, saying, no, don't do that. That will not make me feel comfortable. That is not safe. That, please don't. It's screaming. And then, of course, just like you said, you hear the damn chatter, just talking you out of the feeling.
Yeah.
I love that, talking you out of the feeling. I've been reading some other stuff recently and listening to some audios and videos, and it's like, once you feel fear or pain or any one of that type of thing, it's really the ego talking. Once it's coming from a place of fear or pain, if it's coming from a place of quiet, solitude, peace, then it's really your inner self talking to you. But I like how you also added in from the book. What was the name of the book?
The Untethered Soul.
The Untethered Soul. I need to look up that. Who's the author of that book?
I don't know. I have it. It's in another room, but I can send it to you.
Yeah, The Untethered Soul. We could Google it or Amazon that and
yeah. I think it's not too expensive on Amazon. I think that's where I bought it from.
Yeah, The Untethered Soul. Yeah.
But looking at how like we are the thing that hears, like your true self is the thing. So if you're hearing the voice, you can know that's not you, not your true deep you. Those are those tapes. That's the ego, or maybe another part, maybe the injured child, maybe, all of these other parts. I've done a lot of parts work, right? Like looking at our adolescent parts, the critical voice, all of these different parts. But if you are hearing it, if you are noticing the voice, then you can say, that's not me. And if I make a decision based on what this is saying, this is not coming from the deepest place of true love, true acceptance, open-heartedness, like that this is coming from some other motivation.
How do we learn to trust the feeling?
I think it's like
an issue for us. How do we learn to trust it? Because we have been so programmed to trust the voice,
yes,
the chatter. How do we learn to go back inwards? Remember, we're coming from a place where we're unlovable. We are afraid. It's a place of fear. So how do we learn to trust that inner voice, which is not talking, because we know everything talks, the TV talks, the radio talks, the cell phone talks. Everything is just making a whole lot of noise. And we believe and trust the things that are talking to us because we have been programmed to follow what everybody tells us to do. So to listen to something that is not telling us, is not talking. What are you saying? Crazy Alex? What are you saying?
I think it's like anything else. It's a muscle that we have to build with time. Like, so see if it's something, if you get that feeling of like, okay, something simple, like should I eat a salad or should I eat this cheeseburger? And your like body is like, you get the reaction, you know you should eat a salad. Just try it. Just something small and see how you feel afterwards. Something that maybe isn't very high stakes. Or should you go out with friends, but your body's like, I'm really tired. You know, that inner voice is like, doesn't really want to go, but a lot of times we push ourselves to go anyway because my friends will be mad. I'm not a good friend if I don't go. Like the voices, the chatter starts, right? So try with things that are low stakes, that are pretty low investment, right? And then with time, then you can start to see, oh, you know, my body told me I really needed to sleep. I slept. I woke up feeling great.
Yeah.
Wow, cool. Thank you. Thank you, gut wisdom, for telling me not to do, like, not to put more harm on my body, right? So if we can start to kind of rack up some of those small wins with things that are low, kind of, you know, low stakes, it can give us some confidence, build that confidence to listen about bigger and bigger things.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Start off small. Don't try to do the big stuff too quick. But we know, if we were to really sit quietly and think back, Alex, that the things that we follow our gut on worked out perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Than the things that we went against because we beat up ourselves. We're like, I knew it. I felt it. I should have. This happened to me before, and I know, but yet we still keep going against that gut instinct, that inner feeling. Why aren't we learning? Why aren't we learning?
So there's a couple of different paradigms that I like. So one is that we are always winning the game that we're playing, and two is kind of like whatever we appreciate. So there's something in there that, and then we can also look at that everything in our life has a positive intention. And it sounds crazy when we're doing stuff that keeps harming ourselves, right? Like, what could be the possible positive intention of this? But when we can start to step back, you know, if we have it in our mind that we are a failure, how can we start to win? If we listen to our gut instinct, we're going to have more success. But if we don't change that tape, the way that we think about ourselves, our system isn't going to allow us to have that success, right? So we're going to keep ignoring the gut wisdom because that will take us down the right path. So if you keep falling into these same traps of going against your gut wisdom over and over again, you've got to see, what is this positive intention? Like, what is this trying to protect you from? What is the positive intention behind me not listening, right? And it could be different things for different people. So I guess and this is kind of a hard concept to look at. So I'll talk about myself for a second. So for me, when I kept losing weight and gaining it back, it was really frustrating, right? Like, what is the positive intention on this weight? There must be something. And so if I looked back at my life, there are several different times when I incurred abuse, like I was in a pretty bad relationship and just some different things like that. And so when I could start to see those patterns, I could see that the weight actually provided safety in some ways. It actually provided a larger physical barrier, which felt like safety. So then when I could start to see, okay, that is what the intention was. That's why I kept falling back into this trap of gaining the weight back. That's what was going on. Then I can upgrade and I can say, okay, I'm going to try these methods to be safe so that I don't need to have the weight as a protection. Thanked that part of myself and was able to move on and better implement new strategies for my own safety. So if you see that you keep falling into that trap of not listening, try to figure out what is the positive intention behind the seemingly negative behavior so that you can thank that part of yourself and that you can upgrade the method, right? So maybe if for you it's a feeling safe thing, okay, you can thank that part of you and then find new ways to feel safe. Or maybe you're afraid of rejection, right? So then if you don't even start the project, you can't be rejected. Or whatever the case may be, it's a little bit different for everybody. But if you keep falling into that trap of not listening to the gut wisdom, there's some type of fear or protection, or there's some type of positive thing that your body is trying to help you. You know, you're trying to be safe from something.
Like, what are we running from?
Right.
Yeah, what are you running from that you don't want to deal with?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, what it is that you're running from. But some of us have a hard time discovering what are we running from, because it has been so deep-seated that we don't recognize. It's been so embedded in our subconscious, and it's been protected there, that to go so deep, besides it being frightening, it's like you can't recognize it. And you're like, but I'm fine. You're an adult. I'm fine. Everything is fine. Not realizing that there are so many hurtful memories embedded in there that is causing you to behave, to do, to act, to say, to not have the kind of success you're having, in your life.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I work a lot with on clients, is kind of starting to uncover those things. And if you are getting to that point where you know that there is a next level for you, there's something else that you could be going to, but you're not sure how to get there, I think it can be a really brave step to enlist the help of someone else who can help you see that. Sometimes we get too close to the problem that we can't see it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so finding someone, whatever that looks like for you, that can help you uncover next layers to get where you want to be, and to shed that next, that next part to get closer to yourself, can be so invaluable, because we waste a lot of time running away from ourselves.
Yeah, for real. You spend a lot of time running away, but it requires, what does it require for a person to really decide, make that firm decision that their back is against, is it that their back is against the wall, they can't keep living like this anymore, they think they're happy, but deep down they're not really happy, whether in their relationships, whether it's a spouse, a significant other, their children, their parents, at work, they're doing things that they really don't want to do, and they're afraid that what people will think, that's always the other thing. What would people think? Which is the ego talking to you again. What would people think? Because if you were to go about and do what you really want to do, you're going to be looked at as you really have nothing else better to do. I mean, you're an educated person. Why aren't you using your qualifications? I mean, this is the ego talking, telling you all these things to make you feel bad about learning more about you and getting back to your true self. So what my question in coming back is, what would it take for somebody to step up, to come forward at the altar, to say, I'm ready to take that step to learn about myself, and they're prepared to face that inner child, face the hurt, the unhealed wounds that they have had from, probably, as we say, epigenetics?
Yeah.
What would it take, Alex?
For me, it was just really being sick of my own sickness. I just got to the point where I was like tired of beating my head against the wall, and kind of in that moment of like frustration, there was that clear gut message that, like, again, it wasn't in words, but it was like this feeling of like, there is another option.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is another way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found that with a lot of people, it's kind of this, they just get sick of their own sickness. They get tired of their same pattern and their same cycle. And they just get that feeling of like, there is more to the story here for me. There's something else that I could be experiencing, yet I keep choosing to experience this. It's time for me to enlist someone else and help get this really rocking and rolling.
Yeah. I'm going to go to your website now, Alex. Just give me a second here. Remind me of your website again.
It's fullyalignedcoaching.com.
Let me make sure I have it first before I share it on the screen. Make sure that I can spell. All right, I think I have it here. So let me just bring that up here. Yeah, this is it?
Yep.
Beautiful. Right. All right, I have to close out of this. And there you are with your beautiful self. You always have your hair to the left.
Yeah, I normally do. I don't know why. Just for many years.
It's always a preference. We don't know why we do things. I notice that when I comb my hair, it's to the left too. So, and I have short hair. I cut all my hair off. So I tend to always do it to the left. I don't know why. Yeah. Somehow it's not comfortable for me on the right. But you have this one on the right?
I always part it this way, so it must just be a different angle or something.
Okay.
The way that maybe the way I took the picture. I don't know.
Yeah. So you have here, if persons want to contact you, of course they can go to your website, fullyalignedcoaching.com. And you were saying something about let me see.
You can find me on Facebook. So if you wanted to pull that up, it's Fully Aligned Coaching on Facebook.
I wouldn't do Facebook. I wouldn't do Facebook because people will be contacting me on Facebook if I go to that. It's very active, so I'm not going to bring that up on the screen.
Okay. But yeah, so it's the same. It's Fully Aligned Coaching on Facebook. And so that's a great way that you can contact me. Yeah. I'm on Instagram if people are on Instagram at Fully Aligned Coach. So I'm trying to keep it all pretty.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, so that people don't have to think. Yeah, that's always the best way to do it. You don't have to be like, what is it again on Instagram? Twitter, just keep the same website, just keep everything the same way, you know?
And then you can see my name. I think everyone can see it, how it's spelled on the video. And so you could also, I have a personal Facebook page. Yeah, it's right there too, Alex Kobel-Frakes. And I have a personal page and I put a ton of content on there as well. If people wanted to reach out, there's tons of ways that people could.
Yeah, I'm switching over to your blog. And I think you were doing a consultation or something I was mentioning earlier when we started. How can you get to that? Fully Aligned Coaching. What was the slash after that?
So my consultation is on a different link.
You can share your screen. I'll have to stop sharing mine if you want to share yours.
I can share my screen.
Yeah, so I stop sharing. You share your screen so that we can see where you're going.
Share. Yes, 1 second. Let me pull it up.
Take your time. What are the color of your eyes, Alex?
What color are they?
Do you look at your eyes? They are blue. On the camera here, it doesn't look blue though.
So yes, there it is. And I also sent you the link if you are sharing links places, but that is what the link is. It's https://fullyalignedscheduling.as.me/schedule/PHP. But I also sent the link to you so people can sign up for a consultation there, and those are free. And it's a great way to just kind of open up some of those blocks and start to see what is getting in your way for your health. I think using health as a tool back to self-acceptance and as a catalyst for all the things we want to do is so powerful. It's super, super powerful.
Great.
So yeah, that is, I would be so excited to have conversations with people and help get them really clear on what they need to do and how to really move forward.
Yeah, that is awesome. And in your interaction as a Peace Corps volunteer, you know, how I mean, you're young and I'm sure there are various ages, you know, people who are volunteering. What would you suggest to young people? I would love for a lot of young people to jump on that program. How can they do that? Because it's so self-developmental, growth, etc. How would you suggest persons get onto that program and other things that you have done? You would have learned languages, I guess, along the way too. Picked up a few words.
I'm fluent in Spanish. I have a couple words in German, a couple words in French, but I am fluent in Spanish.
We need to talk. You need to help me with my Spanish, but go ahead.
So the Peace Corps is a program for people from the United States, and you have to have your bachelor's degree most of the time. So that's something that people interested are in. I did it. So I left 10 days after I graduated from undergrad because I knew I wanted to do it. So I had applied before my senior year of college started. So if people are in the US and they want to do that, I would absolutely recommend that to everyone. I think everyone should do that. But many, many countries have different service programs. I think spending a couple of years as a volunteer really changed the way that I think about community, the way that I think about responsibility, and really reminded me how connected we all are, because it kind of got me out of my own way. It got me out of my own way, really being able to kind of be of service and to kind of ingrain even more that mentality. So I wish that every person would do kind of something like that, spend an experience, live with people that are different from them, or that they think are different from them, because it really shows you how similar we all are. We want the same things.
That's right. Is there an age limit to that?
No, the oldest Peace Corps volunteer that they've had so far, I think, was 84.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. And there are many different programs, again, all over the globe that accept volunteers of different ages. And it was really awesome.
Yeah. And of course, they feed you and you have accommodation, and because you're giving of your time and you're learning to be a leader, of course. And you're also learning to serve. Yeah.
Yep. As a Peace Corps volunteer, you get like a small stipend. So you make approximately what someone on the local level would make. When there are some programs where you have to pay to do them. Peace Corps pays you. So it's all a little bit different. But again, whatever the program you can get involved with, I would absolutely recommend it to everyone.
I love that. I wouldn't, volunteerism is like a dying art these days. People don't really want to volunteer, and it's important to do so. It does more for you than for the people you're volunteering for,
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, I feel like I took so much
from it.
I took I learned the language. I made beautiful friendships. I learned so much about myself. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you guys got back in the exchange.
Yeah. That when it's time to leave, you're like, what, already?
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, when you go, you're like, oh my God, I need to get the hell out of here. I have to be here for 2 years. Hell no. But as you go,
it flies by.
Yeah. You're like, what, already 2 years? I can't believe it was just yesterday I was here. No. Can't I stay on? Can't you find something for me to do? I'll do anything.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. I am so happy for you, Alex. This is awesome. This is awesome. I feel so good talking to you, especially with that background. I don't know, it's doing something for me. I'm serious, because I love colors. It's doing something for me. I really appreciate the discussion we had about getting out of your own way. And it delves so much into the whole discussion about, the cognitive dissonance between your true self and your ego, which is really where we need to get out of our own way. Kill that ego, kill it, and just be you. Learn to be you. A lot of people don't know who they are, and we need to be able to discover that, go on that self journey. It's going to be painful, Alex. It is a painful, painful journey. I'm not going to lie. It is a painful journey. I am on it. You have been on it, and you're still on it. It is a painful journey. If you're not prepared for the pain and you want to live a false life, happy for you. But if you really want to live a true, joyous, happy, ecstatic, free life, take the pain. Take the pain. It's going to be all worth it. Thank you, Alex Coble-Frakes, for being here on Between the Lines.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a complete joy and a pleasure. Have a great rest of your day. And everyone who's listening, thank you so much. If you have any questions, reach out and we can continue the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.